I feel that it is a starseed's duty or mission to use his or her imagination to their benefit and to their overall well-being as a person. Now in this recording, I'm going to go over a bit of lore that I've simply just made up, but like I said, I feel that it is a starseed's duty to use her imagination to the best of her abilities to change his or herself for the benefit of his or her DNA, for his or her well-being, for the benefit of having those very pure alkaline thoughts that can run through your mind. If you let these alkaline thoughts flood into your mind, then you're likely to have the ability to change your DNA structure by crystallizing it, by having these certain thoughts. This is how you will change for the betterment to yourself and others if they are willing to listen to your words. And these may be words of wisdom to others, to a select few, I should say, but to others, these are simply words of basic storytelling, or just simply using your own imagination. But I think that we all have a brain and a mind and an imagination for a reason. Why do humans have an imagination in the first place? Why can't we simply just... we can use our imagination, and others can look back at it and admire it. But nowadays, we can't really use our imagination to we can't use it in the work world to make money. Well, there are some humans. There are most humans who can do this, and but when you make up a story and you're able to publish it and put it out there for others to see, they will admire this imagination. They will admire what has come from this person's mind. But I feel in today's society, in some ways it is shunned. Like, I don't know, like, if we use our imagination versus cold hard facts, like like something of science, like science versus imagination. People would usually go for the facts that are within science, because that way there are things that in science that can be proven to be the truth. But isn't imagination also the truth? Isn't it here with us to gaze upon and to admire in our wake? We see all sorts of examples of imagination coming through in physical form, something you could see with your two physical eyes. There are products of pure imagination all around us. And I think for most, we simply will just dismiss it over the facts of science or what have you. But I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit of lore behind my DNA movie. Something that I've just thought about or have wanted to go over for a while. This is concerning the characters that have been created within my crystalline DNA structure, who I now see myself as. Who I spiritually see myself as now. She is already a part of my DNA. She is already a part of the growing, crystallizing DNA that I have within my physical body, and my physical body is another world in itself. So, in past videos, I've talked about the star beings who have come from Alpha Vulpeculae, and these star beings had become elders. They had traveled to the Sirius A, the dimension within the Sirius A sun, or I guess you could say like a realm near Sirius. These Vulpemi star beings had, they go everywhere. They had traveled to every star system imaginable. But the Vulpemi inhabit star systems that are closer to their home. And I feel that I have star systems within my DNA as well, because when humans are just a fetus, when we as human beings are the fetus inside the mother's womb, we are actually being developed within a star system at that moment. And our umbilical cord is the life source, the life thread that connects us to the open and vast universe that we know as our mind. The universe is it's a never-ending mind. This is what the universe is. That is why when we look at pictures of the universe and the star systems, all you see is dark. It's darkness. And what do you think the mind is? What do you think the mind consists of? The mind consists of dark matter. But if you would just open up your mind a little bit and think about the possibilities of the universe, what it could be, what it actually is. All these little stars in the universe, they're simply just, all of these stars in the star constellations are forms of thought. They are light forms of thought that you can see with your two physical eyes. And they were created by the mind, by the higher mind. And this is why I think that we should consider ourselves as being godlike, because we are able to co-create, coexist within this vast mind, this vast universe that is always expanding, that's always growing. So, my higher self, I have now become my higher self. My higher self is divine and pure in nature. It is divine and pure within the universe, which is my mind. I've now told you that my higher self comes from the Middle Earth realm. And there is a story, there is a backstory behind all of this. There is a reason why my son's soul had traveled here. There is a whole reason of why that happened, and that I have to explain in a story, like a backstory, in which I have stored within my Akashic record, crystallizing inside this one of the slates of my spiraling DNA. So we all know that if we open our minds, if we all could have an open mind, and this is proof, the Mandela effect is proof that we are existing in parallel universes, parallel realities. So there was a reason why I had come to this prison dimension down here on Earth, on the Earth realm, or what you'd like to call this reality, whatever it is, because it's only in another form of a dream, basically. So if you are a starseed and you want to use your imagination for the benefit of only yourself, then it's about time that you do that, because as you use your imagination, if you use it to the point to where you're thinking about it so much, you're using your imagination so much, it starts to change you. It starts to change your form of thought as a human being. And in this prison matrix here on this planet, people have lost their ability to open their minds and to use their imagination freely. It's not just using your imagination for a game or a movie or game, there are games, movies, every movie, to put it quite simply, there are you see movies every day. You go to the movie theater every day, and what exactly are you seeing there? You're seeing a product of somebody's imagination playing right before you. So it's not exempt from everything else that you do in your life. People need imagination to get away from the responsibilities of, to put it quite simply, people will often come back to or need their imaginations to get away from the responsibilities of being a human adult. As you progress through this prison matrix that has us all under a deep spell, a deep controlling. This matrix is pushing us down with a very dark spell that has us all doing the same thing over and over and over again. Because this is what feeds the hive mind of the archonic presence. The archonic presence they hate creativeness, they hate imagination. And if all of us could open our minds and to use imagination more often, we would push the archonic presence away, because that is us being co-creators of our own reality to a certain extent. But so there is a cinema within my crystalline DNA that is being played out, and it all has to do with why I came here and where I'm really from. Because as I use my imagination, it changes who I am as my higher self, and nothing is really going to change that now. So I was talking about the star beings who had made contact with me. And they are, and I would like to call them, I like to call them the Volpemi, who are beings from the Alpha Vulpeculae constellation near Altair and Vega. And these beings had also come from Sagitta. These beings had traveled to the Sirius star constellations and had made their footprint there. As the Volpemi had resided near these Sirius star constellations, they had become elders, and I claim to bet that these beings had made their way to the Middle Earth realm as well, because I would like to note that, so the hollow Earth sun is projecting the universe that is within the hollow Earth, and so, I would like to say from my imagination standpoint that the sun, the star that is within the hollow Earth, Middle Earth realm, that particular sun is projecting the universe from the hollow Earth, and it's projecting its hologram to our sun that is up here, and then that sun is projecting the stars from hollow Earth to out there, where we see as what we see as space. So the stars down there, or what we would call down there, would be the same as the stars that we see up when we look up at the night sky. Those are the same stars. So these star beings who come from Alpha Vulpeculae, they had made themselves known to the Middle Earth realm. They had made a home there. They had claimed a certain, I don't know, they had come down there, and they had built civilizations. So when you are watching the Hobbit movie and you see those really tall statues of the dwarves, those statues are of the Volpemi, who had come from the Sirius A constellations, and they had become elders down on Middle Earth. So they were basically like the bearded gods that had come down from the Sirius constellation and had made themselves known to the Earth down there. And so they created a race. They had created a race called the Dwarf, but I think in the movie, it kind of has the dwarves misconstrued, because where do you think the name dwarf came from? You would think of I mean, there's a dwarf star, right? And dwarf stars are huge. They're not small at all. So I don't know why the meaning of dwarf means small or short when there are dwarf stars out in space that are huge. They're giant. So in a way, the Volpemi had come down from the Sirius A constellations, and they had created a race, or they had created a godlike race. And I'm reading a fandom history here about the creation. I'm reading a wiki right now, but it says here at the history of the creation, the dwarves were made by Eul, who they call themselves Mahal, meaning maker. And then it says Eule was unwilling to wait for the coming of the children of Iluvatar. So Eule was a god, or he was a giant, who was made by the star beings known as the Volpemi, because the Volpemi were elder, melanated, bearded gods. That's what they had become. So they had made that god. They had created that god, and then the god Eule had I think Eule had he had multiplied with others who had called themselves the Mahal, meaning maker. So the Mahal were the gods of the dwarves, and the children of Iluvatar, I think, were basically the Volpemi. That's what they called these star beings who had made those specific gods. To have someone teach his lore and crafts. Therefore, he made the first 7 fathers of the dwarves, which were basically what you would call like Elohim, or illuminated ones. The ones who had come down and they saw the daughters of man, and they bore children upon them or something. I guess you could see that story like this one as well. So basically, Eule was a single god who was made by the Volpemi, who were elders of these specific star constellations. The main ones being, their home world, Alpha Vulpeculae, and then they were residing in Altair, Lyra, and Sagitta. These 3 constellations were basically the many homes of the Volpemi. And so where I come in, my higher self was created by, I come from a different parallel reality I come from a different parallel story like this one, but see, like my father Thorin and Thetaphili and Gamkeeli, in my DNA story, they are not dwarves. They're human. They're humans. They're of human stature, but you know, but I think they're still considered dwarf-like, but but in my DNA movie, they appear human. So, so in the movie, I was just watching the movie again, and, you know, because this is my history, you know, I have to go over the movie a few times just to get a grasp of what really happened, you know, because there are hidden messages in movies that if you don't go over it a few times over, then you're not going to catch it. You're not going to catch everything. But there's this one particular scene where the wizard said, there is coming a great threat.